So tomorrow is the day Congress again goes against the wishes of American voters to spend hundreds of billions more of money they don't have, with the excuse that doing so will actually lower inflation. While Democrats keep touting Mark Zandi as their economist who's so often been wrong about inflation as proof that spending more will cut inflation, more than 230 economists are warning in a letter to congressional leadership that the bill will actually make skyrocketing inflation even worse. One of those economists joins us now, Mike Faulkender, former Treasury Department Assistant Secretary for Economic Policy. He's also an AFPI visiting fellow. Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here, Mike. Appreciate it.
David, it's great to be with you.
So exactly how, let's start with inflation. How would this bill, if put into effect, affect inflation?
So over the first few years, if enacted, the bill would actually spend more money than it would take in tax receipts. So at a time that we are already seeing excess demand out in the marketplace, even more federal spending would just exacerbate that. Couple that with the fact that the revenue increases that would be put in place would actually have the effect of taking supply out of the marketplace. So it would curtail the incentive of businesses to come in and meet the shortages that businesses are already realizing, and that's what's going to keep prices high. It's only in the out years that perhaps inflation might come down as a result of this bill. Because remember, David, this bill does the same thing that a lot of budget bills around this town do. All of the spending is front-loaded, the receipts are on the back end, and so it assumes that all of this spending won't be extended beyond the time frame that's in the bill. And so you've got the out years where there's just tax increases and no spending increases, and so fiscal policy would therefore be deflationary, but many years in the future after presumably the Fed has already gotten inflation under control.
You know what I do is I look at what works, and if I see policies that increase growth, that do so with low inflation, I'm for those policies. If I see policies that do exactly the opposite, I'm against those policies. Mark Zandi, I look at his record. I mean, you look at what he said back in June of 2021. Of course, he's supporting the bill, saying, yes, it's going to lower inflation despite everything you just said. But in June 2021, more than a year ago, he said by the fall or end of the year, prices will be coming back to earth. Well, in fact, by the end of 2021, we saw prices go up another 40% from when Mark Zandi said that. So, I mean, he's got a terrible track record. Why should we believe him now?
Well, that's the part that I can't understand is why are the Democrats continuing to revert back to the people whose forecasts were completely off most recently? These are the same set of people that said we could enact the American Rescue Plan and not realize inflation from it. And instead, we see the results. We've got 9.1% year-over-year inflation in the most recent report, which is a 40-year high. And so instead, it used to be that Senator Manchin would rely on the Penn-Wharton budget model, and yet the Penn-Wharton budget model came out and said that we're going to see slight increases in inflation if this bill were enacted. So I don't know why we would continue to go back to those economists whose forecasts failed miserably on the American Rescue Plan and think that their results are going to be any different with regard to this most recent proposal.
Now, they also claim, of course, the new bill is going to lower the deficit. As you just outlined, I mean, you're spending more money than you're taking in, and that by almost definition increases the deficit, right?
That's right. I mean, again, the budget math that too many people do in this town is they assume we're going to have 3 years of spending increases and 10 years of taxes to pay for it. They want those programs to be extended for the full 3 years, but it doesn't work under the budget math. So they say it's only for 3 years, and then they'll find some other fuzzy math 3 years from now to extend them even farther. If you were to do an honest accounting of this bill, just like was done with various estimates of the original Build Back Better plan, once you fully incorporate making many of these programs permanent, which is the objective, then in fact these programs are ending up being deficit programs. They are not going to bring down the deficit. They are going to actually add to the deficit. And as you said, at a time that we've already got $30 trillion in outstanding debt, with trillion-dollar deficits as far as the eye can see, the idea that we need to tempt the American people with temporary spending programs and then hope that they build support when we know full well that they're not long-term paid for, just set this up for fiscal disaster.
And Mike, we saw 2 quarters down. We don't know if this third quarter is going to be up or down in terms of economic growth, but but we had 2 quarters down. We do have stagflation right now. Despite these jobs numbers, we did have a declining economy for the first and second quarter. What would a raise in taxes, of course, they don't call it a raise in taxes. We'll talk about that in a second. But American corporations are going to be paying more. American small businesses are going to be paying more in taxes. So what would that do to growth in the United States?
Well, that's exactly the problem, is that if you increase taxes on the producers in our economy, you tend to get less activity from them. So the assumptions about the amount of revenue that would be generated assume that there's going to be no change in behavior. But if you all of a sudden go to manufacturing firms who have slowly been bringing jobs back to the United States and instead tell them, we're going to take away all of that accelerated depreciation that we gave you in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, and instead we're going to impose a 15% minimum tax on your book income, then why will they continue to bring those jobs back to the United States? If instead those jobs are located abroad, that's going to tend to dampen economic growth and put our supply chains back at being susceptible to any kind of geopolitical challenges.
And what about the average American, the non-corporate, just average American making under $200,000 a year, under $200,000 a year? I mean, how would their taxes be affected by all this?
Well, there's 2 things. Number one, we know that even when you raise taxes on corporations, that at the end of the day, corporations pass those on. Some portion of it's going to be paid by consumers, and some portion of it's going to be paid by their workers. And then secondly, we also know that the big increase in revenue that they're realizing is from increasing the size of the IRS and increasing the number of audits, particularly of small businesses. And we know full well that's going to particularly hit small businesses that are making less than $200,000.
You know, there has been pushback. People don't like the idea of supersizing the IRS. They think of 87,000 new IRS agents, and there aren't that many billionaires in America, so they wouldn't be just going after the richest of the rich. They'd be going after a lot of people in the mid-level of the economy as well. I mean, is that going to pass, do you think, the muster? You're based in Washington. Tomorrow they may be voting on this bill. Can they actually stand behind a six-fold increase in the IRS?
Unfortunately, it looks like they're going to have the votes to pass this thing. Now, whether or not they want to deal with the ramifications of what it means to be sticking a bunch of IRS auditors in front of America's small businesses, I will be surprised to see whether or not that goes forward. But, you know, as somebody who worked at Treasury for a couple of years, there are so many more taxpayer services we could provide, improvements in IT architecture at the IRS that we could be doing. The idea that additional money going to the IRS best serves the American people through audits rather than improving their technology platforms and their customer service. I just really think this is poor allocation of society's resources and is not going to generate anywhere near the kind of revenue that folks at the CBO are forecasting that these additional auditors.
And you know who's going to get hit. It's the middle class folks or the small businesses that can't afford the fancy tax accountants. And I mean, they're the ones who can't afford to fight with the IRS, who will find it easier to write a check even if they truly believe they're innocent.
That's right. I mean, I've seen estimates out there that your larger organizations, first of all, they're already the ones most likely to be audited. They're already the ones that have the accountants and lawyers that know how to fight it. If the IRS is going to get anywhere near the kind of revenue that the CBO is forecasting, they're likely going to go after those who are less likely to fight back.
Mike Faulkender, great to see you, my friend. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it.